Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about a few multiplication properties. Specifically for this video I'm going to talk about 4 and I'll show you an example of each of them. The first property is known as the identity property of multiplication. So just like how we had one for addition, there is one for multiplication as well. And it states this: for every real number n, and I'll use n for each of the examples for this video. For every real number n, 1 times n is equal to n. This works for both positive and negative numbers. And what it's telling you is if you multiply a number by 1, you will get that same number. 5 times 1, that is 5. Negative 7 times 1 is negative 7. So if you multiply a number by 1, you're going to get that same exact number. And what's nice is that that also works for 0 as well, and I'll talk about that property in a little while. Next thing to kind of go along with that identity property, the next one I can show you is the multiplication property of negative 1. Which states that for every real number n, negative 1 times n is going to be equal to negative n. So what if in this case n was negative? I'll show you an example of that one. So let's assume first for this that n is positive. So let's choose any random positive number, let's say 9. Negative 1 times 9 is negative 9. That checks out because here we had n, and here we have its opposite, negative n. That adds up. Now if I were to plug in a negative, so let's do negative 1 times negative 15. Well, here we have a negative times a negative. That is a positive. So the negative of a negative is a positive. Two negatives make a positive, especially when you're multiplying two. This also works for 0 as well, but 0 is neither positive nor negative. Keep that in mind. Speaking of 0, the multiplication property of 0, which I kind of talked about earlier, states that for every real number n, n times 0 is equal to 0. Multiply any positive number, any negative number, times 0, and you get 0. This accounts for decimals and fractions as well. 3/10 times 0 is 0. Negative 6.9 times 0 is also 0. So that takes care of 3 of the properties. I'm going to show you one more for this video. And much like how we had one of these for addition, there is one for multiplication as well, and that is the inverse property. So here's what it means for multiplication. For every non-zero real number, and I'll call it n for this case, there is a multiplicative inverse 1 over n such that n times 1 over n is equal to 1. So what does this mean? And multiplicative inverse, remember how we said for addition we have the additive inverse? Well, for multiplication, the multiplicative inverse, another name for that is that number's reciprocal. So I'll show you an example of that. If I take the number 4 and I multiplied it by 1 over 4, I would get 1. This also counts for negative numbers as well. Negative 11 times 1 over 11 is equal to negative 11. That's a positive times a negative, so that product is negative. So I mentioned in this property about something called a multiplicative inverse. I'm going to spell that out for you. So multiplicative inverse. If you want to say the alternative name for this, it's also known as a reciprocal. Reciprocal. Okay. And that is the following. The reciprocal of a non-zero rational number, which I'll just label as a over b, is b over a. You're simply interchanging the top and the bottom numbers to get its reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 3 over 4 is equal to 4 over 3. And if I had a regular whole number, such as 12, its reciprocal would be 1 over 12. Because remember, 12 can also be written as 12 over 1. Remember, we don't write our numbers like this because it just looks weird. So just to recall, reciprocals means you're interchanging the top and the bottom numbers to get the following. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.